Hey YouTube, so today we're going to be testing whether or not we can effectively shoot 17 cal bullets out of a pellet gun. If you notice here, these are not true 177 cal, they are a bit smaller, and because of that they drop down the barrel with zero resistance. And to put the weight difference into perspective, this is the Gamo Whisper pellet. Here's your size difference between the two. So literally, the Gamo Whisper is the heaviest pellet I have, and this is double that weight. So I'm not sure if that is going to be a problem on the piston or not. We'll see. We're going to shoot anyway to find out. But that's it in a nutshell, basically. So V, probably going to scratch the inside of the barrel, maybe, maybe not, but I've already shot copper plated steel BBs through it, so not too worried about that. And because the diameter is smaller than the inside of the pellet gun is, unlike a regular pellet, it's not going to expand to fill into that rifling. What we're going to have to do is paper patch it.
Paper patching, state of the art, 1870s Africa. Paper wrapped bullet, no metal on metal going down the barrel, grooves and that. Paper unwinds at the muzzle, leaves no traces when it hits.
So this in turn will give us a nice gas seal on the inside of the bore, and on top of that protect the inside of the rifling from possible damage. Whether or not that would happen, I do not know, but this will hopefully keep that from happening. The biggest thing that's going to be an issue here is, like I said again, the weight. This would be literally equivalent of shooting two of those heavy pellets at once, so I don't know if that's going to damage the piston or not. But like I said, we'll see. These are varmint hunting rounds. As you can see, they're the VMAX. They got a little red polymer tip, so that should, quote, expand. But again, things tend to, like, I hate to generalize, but things like this expand more violently in conjunction with their velocity. So because we're probably not going to get a stellar velocity out of this, it's not, I don't expect it to expand at all, maybe a little, but again, we'll see. This will be a very interesting test. So for this, I basically just took the hobby knife and took out small chunks of paper that were just slightly larger than the diameter of the bore. So as we can see here, it went seriously maybe about an inch, about an inch and a half in, and then did a severe flip and dumped a lot of energy right there. The whole cavity was not for me pulling that apart. So yeah, I guess it works a little bit, but honestly, that huge drop off in velocity really, I think, suffers. As you saw maybe earlier, it only poked a little hole in, and that's a bit of the paper right here, and here's our projectile. Get him out. So, upon further review, didn't even appear to expand a little bit. Not too surprising. But let's try it again on some other things just to get a good baseline. Entry. Exit. So that's interesting. That does tell me that these bullets were indeed flying straight. So here's that piece of wood. I don't know if you heard that. That came back and ricocheted with quite some velocity. But that actually put quite the wallop on that piece of wood. I'm actually surprised. That's more than effective. And this is a pretty hard piece of wood. In all honesty, other pellets would have done exactly the same as this one did. Alright, next up we're going against the 22 gauge sheet metal again, and hope like hell it doesn't ricochet. YOLO. Alright, right off the gate, what I can tell you is that put An impressive dent on it here in comparison to the other shots. This one didn't quite penetrate, just put a little crack in it. Likewise with that lower one from a long time ago, I'm not sure what round that was, but it did not penetrate. Same with here. What I can see a tendency to happen is that polymer tip just kind of hits it, and then just because of the construction of the bullet, it just wants to flop end over end very quickly. So that's where you can see that back end hit so hard. Yet in all the other tests, we're certain these are coming out of the barrel straight and true, but as soon as it hits something hard like the wood or the sheet metal, it just flops. Here's the back side of that. It's again not as impressive as some other pellets, but when you look at the surface area, that thing actually transferred quite a bit of energy. So all in all, I'd say they work. They don't expand, so that is, I would view that as a downside. They're slow as heck, but otherwise they hit pretty hard. So let's try a piece of fruit or something as a conclusive test. Now for the third and final test against the apple. Might I add, guys, that I'm using about 2 or 3 patches at a time, and I first have to cock the air rifle and then put 1 patch in and then 2 patch in and then a third, and then seat the bullet and ram it home a lot like a muzzle loader. Unfortunately, I was trying to just put the bullet in with the paper itself, but the paper was tearing because the bore diameter is very small. Anyways, so think of it a lot like a muzzle loader, guys, just using the paper to seal that air gap, not so much to jacket the projectile like we were saying. I was initially going for that, but paper kept tearing, so we had to compromise. All these, might I add, have been incredibly quiet, and for a second I thought it didn't come out of the barrel or I missed, but it actually did. Here's the exit. There's the bullet. Let's take this inside back into the daylight and examine it. So here we go, guys. Basically what we can see here is that same goes as before. There's the tip right there. Kind of went in, and then it's kind of hard to tell, but the cut pattern on this, the bolt basically went in like this and kind of curved out to the left of the apple. Here's that exit. Again, not too traumatic, all things considered. Here's the bruising from its flight path. Here's a better idea. So, I mean, yeah, all that's mushed. Wow, actually, hold on. That's very interesting. I run my pinky along it. Wow, okay. That's pretty cool. So the bullet went in and was completely sideways, just sideways carving a path in until finally exiting out also sideways. And here is, say, a little pipe for an idea. I mean, it's all mushed about that far in, is just all mush. So this thing was going sideways as I went through it. When you compare this to another pellet test, like say a regular hollow point, it just can't stand up to the expansive mushrooming capabilities of a lead hollow point. But I gotta admit, that is a lot of energy. I mean, that thing is still, for all intents and purposes, hitting very hard. And it kind of makes sense when you think about a big heavy bullet carrying all that energy and just plowing through things. And here's how it came out too when it hit the clay. So there's the perfect indentation of the bullet, and it literally embedded itself. Here, let me get the bullet out, you guys. Again, zero deformation from the bullet's end. But when you put the bullet in its spot, it still managed to embed itself flush into that cold clay. And I don't know about you, that kind of says something. Let me know, you guys, if you want to see an accuracy test of this concept. I'm not sure how well these will work, but again, they're a bit different. Like I said, we didn't get any deformation out of the bullet whatsoever, but it was pretty cool. It was interesting to see the thing go sideways through everything and really just plow its way through stuff. And realistically, on a small animal, you're not looking for penetration. A 117 pellet gun is going to penetrate them fine anyway. I mean, you could probably clear something like a rabbit with a pointed pellet easy. You guys can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but realistically, I don't think you need that high, heavy, long pellet to just, tumble and carry its way through an animal. I would imagine if you're hunting a squirrel or something, you'd want something small and lightweight like a hollow point pellet that hits it and expands and puts a huge hole in it and then is dropped all its energy from there. That's just my opinion. I mean, you use them for whatever you want to, but if you had to get my recommendation for hunting purposes, I'd say no. Anyways, guys, you want to see more of that? Any kind of modifications, so forth? Let me know. I have one of these that I have melted the lead out of and taken the polymer tip off of, and the jacket itself, I can tell you guys, weighs just about as much as a Gamo rocket pellet, so still quite a bit of weight there. It'd be interesting to see maybe if just the jacket alone could perform equal to a pellet or not. Anyways, that's all for today. More to come. See ya. There's a couple of doves about 2-3 yards away. They just keep getting closer. Now, I'm not that mean. I mean, I think mean's a strong word, but that's not really fair, is it? I mean, look at them. They're literally like... Here's that tree. Here's the fence. Although, that one right there, if we really wanted to test these paper patch bullets on them, we could. But all that aside, dove's not even in season, guys, so... Besides, look at them, they're a nice little pair. That'd be so mean to separate the two of them. Now I know who's been at the squirrel feeder, though. Yeah, I just thought that was a bit of irony. Right here we're testing pellets literally 2 or 3 yards away at the absolute most. I mean, I'm talking right now, I'm moving, they don't even seem to care. Just saying though, you guys, if you were in season, you'd be fair sport. I hear doves are pretty tasty. Har har har. Alright, enough aside, let's just videotape them while they're here, I guess. Be such an easy shot too. This might sound a little naive, but I didn't know doves would eat corn. That's pretty interesting.